Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Black Coffee and Crime. This week we are on episode number 78. Um, so that's a lot. We're almost to 100. I think 2 years ago, Kevin Fredericks of Kev on Stage said, if you want to have a successful podcast or a successful show, you got to do 100 shows, plow through them no matter what. If it's 2 people, 200 people watching, you got to go through it. So I'm going to take, since he's very successful and he started from the ground up, I'm going to take what that man said and we just going to run with that and see what, and we're going to get to that milestone and just continue to go. I think we're up to 300 and something subscribers, which, to most podcasts is not, a large number, but we okay with it. Because that means that 300 people regularly watch, and then the people who stop in. So we thank everybody who's come in to see what we're talking about, to join us, to laugh, to be shocked, to be appalled, and all of that. And so thank you. All right, so this is episode 78. We are going to be talking about a lady called Denise Williams. Again, not the singer, not It's Gonna Be a Miracle. We talk, or Black Butterfly, Denise Williams, for, those of us, Gen Xers with Black parents. Black Butterfly was the lick. And what was the song that she sang? Oh, Silly.
Yeah. It's in my soul to sing it, but I won't.
Please don't.
It's in my spirit.
Just a pinch. Just a pinch.
No, please don't, Jackie. Because don't. Because although that we can appreciate Brandy's voice, I don't think the audience can appreciate her voice the way that
the audience loves my. I have not got not one person to say that they'd rather not hear her voice.
I'm saying it.
Not one. So
let there be one, and it is I. But this is a lady from Florida. Her name is Denise Williams, and she did some really. She's just trifling. So we'll talk about her in a minute. As always, we're going to start off with church announcements. The announcements are as follows. I think it was last July. My dog died in July, Earl. So finally, we got another dog.
Earl is still in our hearts, though.
He is. And he's on the dresser as well.
Still with his dog.
Yeah, he's on our hearts and on top of the bookcase. But we got another dog. He's like 3 or 4 months old, I think. He's like a farm ranch dog. So he's really, there's no particular breed. I think he's like mixed with some stuff. And it's just old Soon. Soon will be this and soon will be that. He does not have a name. We've had him for more than 24 hours. So only thing I can say about the puppy is he's huge and he's really slow, like not his mind, but he does not move fast at all. Like he is not coming to you.
Clydell, that's need to be his name, Clydell.
It's gonna be something country because he don't move too quick and he's stubborn. Like he'll get up, he'll there's a noise and he'll look. He'll get up if he hear it again, but other than that, he ain't gonna do much. So yeah, y'all pray for me. He's gonna eat us out of house and home. I'm gonna have to find a second job to feed this dog because he gonna be big. So y'all pray for me for that. Brady stubbed her toe last night.
Y'all pray for me. I done left my toe in my white church shoes. Toe is gone.
The pinky toe. The nail
is in my white church shoes.
It's gone.
Fell off my white church shoes.
The nail. You know how precious. You know how precious a pinky toenail is. Like if you could get to a certain age. First of all, if you're born with 2 pinky toe nails, you are already up.
Above the curve.
You're above the curve. Because a lot of people, it's not widely known that they don't have.
They got a chicken toe.
Yeah, they don't have nails on their pinky toe.
It's just a little chicken toe, a little bit. Yeah.
So when they go to the salon to get a pedicure, they're literally painting your skin to, with your color. So if you have a pinky toenail, 2 of them, successful ones that are like fully grown and not gnarled up like a tree
I was
trunk,
above the curve. I was above the curve.
it lasted all this time, and they're
Well,
gone,
I've
y'all.
had many toe run-ins the past year.
Yes.
You remember when I had 2 toes on the same foot?
Yes. I don't know how she did it, y'all. I don't know how she injured the pinky toe and then like the third toe. So
that's different.
Yeah, she sent me a picture first of the pinky toe and the fourth toe wrapped together.
Yeah.
And then it was the second and third toe wrapped together. So the only toe that didn't have a bandage on it was her big toe.
Well, I had the pinky toe and the neighbor wrapped today.
So she sent me a picture, and I thought my Messenger app had like flipped back months ago. So, but no, it was today. It was like 11:13 a.m. Central Time. And I was like, what is this? And I was like, I said, why though? Like, how you do this again? Like, how does someone keep injuring the same foot? So pray for Brandy's that it comes back, y'all, because it's summertime. We got to have our feet together. And
I can't be rocking 9 toes.
She's going to be wearing Crocs the whole summer because her toes is gone. Toes is messed up. So pray for Brandy's toe. I think that's all we got for this. We ain't got no other church announcements. The only thing I can give a suggestion, since it's gonna be hot, and the air condition in the fellowship hall don't always kick in. So as we approach hotter temps, those of us who like to forego certain hygiene practices, it's time to pick them back up. I'm not saying that anybody knows, but I'm just saying if you practice a certain way and you're not as thorough as you normally would be, go ahead and get yourself right, because it's gonna be hot, and our air conditioning ain't always together. And
yeah, Eldine Johnson tried to put that swamp cooler down in the fellowship, not the fellowship, was the fellowship hall.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And, since he done got that amputation, he can't keep going out there and wetting it down with the water hose.
And and it don't really crank out much, but I just just to help everybody out, because it's a lot of polyester and rayon that's usually worn on Sundays, and
what's wrong with y'all?
It don't absorb well.
His right hand.
What's wrong with y'all?
Right foot and left hand gone. So the water hose gets some off balance.
And then he fell over.
Yeah, so he can't went down the swamp cooler no more.
You're gonna be responsible for the deacon messing up his other leg, and for us not being able to breathe. So all I'm saying is, deodorant is seasonal, so you can't use the winter deodorant in the summertime.
No.
You gotta change them, because your armpits is different, your glands are different, and a lot of y'all don't drink water, and you already got that little thing on the side of your neck. So I know your glands is overactive. You don't want to go to the doctor, but I can tell because you got that little lump right here. So that's gonna tell me that it's gonna be a little fire. It's gonna be a little fire up under here, and so just switch your deodorant out, and don't be using all that talcum powder in your crevices, because that don't work. There's some cream that you can get from Ulta. Get that. Don't use that talcum powder, because then you just gonna smell like sweat and baby powder, and it don't. It's not of the Lord. It's not of the Lord. So that
talc been working for a good amount of years though.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're not washing it off, and it's
I heard it's giving the folks the cancer now though. So
listen, if it ain't giving you cancer, it's just piling up, and it looked like you got a school art project under there, and
you did that that small group at the church for the folks who wear the powder way up here on the neck. They meet every third Sunday of the month.
They exchange it. Them the people that still use that Avon towel. That's in those little. Yeah, and they be all up here. So I'm just saying, just step up your practices because it's gonna be hot. All right. So those were the announcements. Govern yourselves accordingly, obey your ushers, and always respect your pastor. Okay, so last week we talked about Khaleesi Pinky Williams and her case out of Atlanta. Still no new information. I know it's only been a week, but there's been no information. What we have been hearing over and over again, and there has been a new development in this story that happened a week ago, is Slapgate at the Oscars, which we are all over. But just today, someone said that Jada said that she wished Will had not done that because she's not the type of woman that needs protecting. So all week they've been saying she hasn't said anything. She hasn't defended Will. She hasn't said this. She should have stopped him. So now she's saying that, I wish he hadn't done it. I'm not the type of
But what
woman.
about all the people screaming protect Black women though?
I still think that as a man, regardless of what she thinks, she doesn't, because a lot of us don't think that we necessarily need protecting in a moment like that. Like, I'm good, but you cannot, that's your man. That's your man. And it's his job to protect you. However, he thinks that is in that moment. And I don't think he necessarily, regardless of what she said, I didn't need protecting. That's fine. That's fine. Still. But it's kind of like, it's a lose-lose situation. She didn't say anything and people are on her. Now she said something and people are on her. And she can't win. She's like, we can't defend her. Not because she doesn't deserve it, but because it's just too many people hate her for no reason. I just think that because she's so hated in Hollywood and men hate her, we can't defend her. So it's just an ongoing story. It just keeps going and going and going and going. And then T.I. basically did the same thing in a comedy club, told another comedian, keep my wife out your mouth, because the comedian was talking about their scandal with the sexual abuse thing. And so he was saying, like, we haven't been convicted of anything, keep my wife's name out your mouth. So it's kind of the same thing. And, people, of course, are saying it's just comedy, they're doing their job. But I think be careful what you say, because, again, you can't control my reaction. People have to watch what they say, because you can't control my reaction. So I just think that's going to be something that just continues to happen. Y'all still tired of Will and Jada and Chris Rock?
I mean, I ain't even heard nothing from Chris Rock for real, so I can't say I'm tired of him, but I'm tired of them other two.
It's not that Will and Jada are, besides what she said recently, they're not even saying anything. No one's saying anything. It's just all the other people, like Chris Rock's brother is like, it's on site, and all these other comedians, like, he would have never do that to me. So now, of course, all these other comedians are, I won't say all these, but there are some comedians who are taking that joke and continuing it, kind of goading Will Smith to, I'm talking about it, you do something. Now, that man be waiting on you behind in the alley, behind the comedy club, and mollywop you. Then what? You wouldn't do that to me. It's not like he's a weakling. That is a pretty fit man with long arms. So just stop. That's, regardless of what you think about their marriage or whatever, that's still somebody's wife. And y'all I think a lot of men are just mad because Jada is able to get unrestricted D on the side. It's kind of like the buffet at Sizzler used to be. You know, you can get your steak, you could order your meal, but you could also get the all you can eat shrimp on the side. And if you were savvy, you could put some in your purse and take it home. So I just think that they're mad because, you know, they got the Sizzler special over at Willingham House. So don't be mad. Don't be
We'll
mad.
be all right.
Yeah, y'all will be all right.
We'll be all right.
Have y'all heard? Okay, we're gonna get to the story. There was one, Brandy, that you sent me today. Oh no, the girl. What is her name? Is her name Kamaya? The girl who was kidnapped at birth, and her mother. Kidnapper mother kept her for 18 years, and she only discovered that she was kidnapped when she was trying to apply to college. The kidnapper ended up getting 18 years of prison a couple of years ago. The judge said, I'm going to give you as many years as you had her in your possession. Kamaya, there was like a big thing. Kamaya's birth parents tried to, you know, embrace her, but their approach, I think, was really, really, really strong, and it turned her off because they wanted her to completely turn away from the kidnapper, because that's the only thing I'm calling the kidnapper. But she couldn't do that because she hadn't been mistreated by this woman. She knew nothing about this woman who treated her fairly, raised her well, and got her to college. That's her mom, for all intents and purposes. That's her mom. And it went really bad. There was a couple episodes on Iyanla Van Zant's Iyanla Fix My Life that didn't go well. The birth mother is, Brandy and I talked about this, very hurt. And I think that her approach to the situation was that you're still my baby and you're being taken away from me twice. So the kidnapper appealed to the judge and asked for a reduced sentence. It was denied, and she will do all of her 18 years.
Well, the daughter was kidnapped. The daughter tried to plead with the judge to let her mom, which is the kidnapper, out of jail, but he was like, no. But like, that's her mom. That she grew up with that woman as her mom. Anybody else is a stranger.
And I understand that. I understand that part from her point of view as much as I can. I understand that.
But she committed a crime, so.
Did.
Exactly. I mean, I understand, but I mean, and it's sad, but at the end of the day, she still committed a crime. And like the dad was saying, like, he can't get back his time. He can't get back your feelings. He can't get back trying to build a relationship with his child. He can't get any of that stuff back. So it's kind of just sad all the way around.
Yeah, and there's resentment on all fronts because this might not be her name, but I believe her name is Kamaya. She is resentful that they want to pull her away from the woman that she knows is her mother and force a relationship. They're resentful and angry and hurt and bitter because this woman who took her from them from the hospital, she still has a hold on her, and they can't establish a relationship with her. But and they were really resistant to like counseling or whatever, which definitely would have helped in the situation so that they could have been able to kind of build a foundation, a different kind of structure of, you know, a different kind of relationship structure. So it wouldn't have been so much I'm trying to raise you, but trying to get to know you, who you are now, and all those things. But yeah, she's still in there and she's gonna stay. So it's just sad on all fronts that, you know, that it's not working out for anybody. So I don't think there'll be any more updates on that one because she ain't, you know, just say you ain't going. So that's that. We did have some other things. I guess we could talk about those next week. A guy from England killed his grandmother and sexually assaulted her corpse.
Disgusting.
Yeah. And then the story that you sent me, Jackie, I don't even think we should talk about that, but it was horrible. Randy, did you see it?
Yeah, I seen it.
Yeah.
I seen as much as I could stomach. I was like, please let this be some kind of like Onion article or something.
No,
Oh,
no. But in a comedic way, there is another story of a woman who was ridiculously obese and couldn't, that Jackie sent me today, that could not uh, get out of her house. And she needed assistance of like the fire department or whatever. And they take her, she's sick and she doesn't know why. They take her to the hospital. This is a lady telling the story, a nurse telling the story. And they pulled the nurse to the side and they're like, hey, guess what we found? This woman was using a snake in the way that men use gerbils to get some sort of pleasure. Plot twist, the snake died.
inside.
Pretty face.
Inside.
The snake had been dead for a week.
He got one whiff.
So just imagine this woman
He
who
went
was bedbound. And we were just talking about how, you need to change your routine because, if you're bedbound, you're really not getting,
you need to be underneath some water.
yeah, like a whole river. Like you need the river to wash over.
Poor
And
snakes, they rest in peace.
I'm not a fan of snakes, but it went out wrong. It went out real wrong. But it died, crawled inside of her vagina and died.
That thing ain't crawled in there.
Well, she put it to where, anyway, it found its way and didn't come out. And
Was some of it hanging out?
no, she
The whole thing
couldn't.
in there?
It was
Yeah, because
like mush. It was like mush in her vajay.
Yeah,
It
because
was
what
like a
happened, she couldn't pull it out because I guess that's what she would normally do, is
You
keep
could
a
reach
grip on
around.
it. She would usually keep a grip on it and
Reach
pull it
around.
out, and it went too far and she couldn't get it. And she thought, what she said was, she thought that
Brandy,
it
that's
would
my
just,
literal face expression right now.
that it got away and that it was just somewhere in the house, but it wasn't. It was in
How-
there. And
This story deserves its own hour. Because how did she say she stopped feeling it move, so she thought it ran on?
Yeah.
But the whole time the thing had suffocated
Yeah.
and blew back by the fume?
and it was so, in a week's time, I guess it was so acidic or whatever in there that she went septic and it turned to mush. When they did the x-ray, it was just mush. There was
How
no,
stuff so spicy. How, mm. Just leave me at home, because just let me die with the snake, because I don't want to have to explain that to the doctor why I got mashed potato snake stuffed in turducken.
Not turducken.
okay, so let's relate this back to Black Coffee and Crime. So should she be charged for like animal cruelty?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, of course.
You know how when they start to grow out of their skin and they come out like that? This thing was going in backwards.
can you imagine if you had to be the tech or the nurse to clean that out?
No, she gonna have to squat and push that out. I ain't cleaning out nothing.
I quit. The hell with my you know what? I
I want to
signed up for
know how
this.
long the snake was. Was it a little gardener snake, like
I
a
don't.
little
It couldn't have
skin?
been. It couldn't have been too small because if
But
she
they
was,
crawled up in there and stayed and done died.
She couldn't
well,
have been a
listen,
garden snake because she was a big woman, like a
yeah,
very
she was
big woman.
bedbound. She was bedbound. So she had to
But
be large
she kept
enough to
pulling
where,
out for that to be a baby, a little snake.
no, it had to be a larger snake for her to, because I'm a nice sized big woman. So I got big arms, but I'm also short. Um, so if I got all the gut and everything else to go around, my arms seem shorter. So you ain't got that reach around no more. So it had to have been, I'm assuming, not a large snake, but a long enough to where she would be able to get a grip on it and pull it out. But it went too far and she wasn't able to get a grip on it and pull it out. And
Poor Jimmy been looking for a snake, just looking for it. His mom had to tell me that went on to glory.
yeah, now they really know, little Jimmy really knows where it went.
He said he got lost in the swamp. She couldn't tell him the truth that he died in a horrible agony.
The agony comes from whoever discovered it. And also the agony comes from whoever had to go in that house and lift her up off of the couch or the bed to get her
Oh
on the
Lord,
gurney. Can you
that
imagine?
smell.
I want to know what her pH numbers were.
Girl, off the chart in the triple digits. In the honey pot can't fix this. Honey pot cannot fix this. Vinegar can't fix this.
She done cooked the snake.
Okay, I'm still going back to that first one. Like, first of all, when they walked into the apartment, they knew something was wrong. But then when they tried to rock her side to side to get her woman thou art loose from that bed, whoo,
And it must not have been venomous. Or maybe it was.
the smell was venomous.
I can't even imagine what that smell would look like or smell like. And what was the doctor's face? What was the intern's face looking like when she put them feet up in that stirrups and had to?
Oh, the smell was the color of
Mustard green.
I'm gonna go a little darker. I'm gonna go with, like, let me see. This is a cleaning product. I'm gonna go with this green. That was the smell. This top green right here. Yeah, this one. That's what the smell looked. That was the color of the smell in that room. Like, if you looked at the fumes, that was the color.
It had to be oozing out of her. It had to be.
It had what?
It had to be oozing out.
That is fucking disgusting.
Vertebrae just.
Oh, that was probably the only way that they were able to identify what it was by the vertebrae.
Unless that got.
I think the vertebrae was intact, but the body itself, the flesh, was mush.
It was. If you would have ate up them bones too, she got a mean bite.
Girl, the snapper was for real. That stuff looked like overnight oats when it came out. Oh, okay, we're gonna stop because
that's disgusting.
All right, we're gonna start talking about Denise Williams now. This is a story that if you watch any sort of true crime shows on ID Discovery or anything like that, you've probably heard of the story. Happened in 2000. But it's been on several different shows. I saw it on Forensic Files.
Disappear. Did you see it on Disappear?
Mm-hmm. And I also saw it on Forensic Files. And basically, the shows give the same information, but their perspective is different. Forensic Files is the show that puts you to sleep, but it gives you some details, and they always talk about the mass spectrometer, which I don't know why they always have to use a mass spectrometer on everything on that show. I don't know. But yeah,
how I ran across it was I was watching interrogations that was talking about people's body language during their interrogations that show their innocence or that they possibly could be lying or whatever. And I got on her story, and I'm like, her interrogation, just everything that happened, like, I was like, this story is crazy. It has so many levels to it. And I called Brand. I was like, Brand, have you heard of Denise Williams and then killed her boo? And she was like, yeah, watching on something. I was like, we have to do this story because it's just too much.
Okay, so quick breakdown and then we get to the details. Okay, Denise Williams married to Jerry. Is it Jerry Michael? Jerry Michael Williams. Jerry Michael Williams.
Yeah, Jerry Michael.
They call him Michael or Mike. Nice guy. Denise seems to be a nice woman. They get married. They're not married very long. He has this friend, his best friend, and his best friend's wife.
They were all
hang out together.
High school friends.
Yeah, they all hang out together, and everything seems to be everything. Things are going swimmingly. Well, 1999, they got married in 1994. In 1999, Denise gets pregnant. She has a baby, little girl. She convinces her husband to increase his life insurance. Now, typically, when you start having children, you increase your life insurance just in case something happens, blah, blah, blah. That's normal. His friend, Brian, the best friend, is an insurance salesman. So Brian writes up the policy. And within a couple months, Michael is missing. That's the basics of the story. That he goes hunting and in the Florida swamps, duck hunting. And which is something that he normally does. And the theory was that his boat somehow got flipped over and he was eaten by alligators. And that theory pretty much stayed as the prevailing theory. He's missing. We can't find him for years. I mean, for years. A while later after the initial disappearance, they find his hat. So they assume that, we found the hat, we didn't find the rest of the body, he got eaten by gators. But at the crime scene, his car was there, his boat was there.
But there was no sign of anything else.
There was no sign of anything else. And so they're like, the boat drifted off. If he fell off the boat and he has a onboard motor thingy, why is the tank full? So there was all these other clues that didn't add up to him falling off the boat and the boat drifting. But they had nothing else to go on. There was a judge that quickly declared him dead and allowed Denise to collect on the $1.2 million life insurance policy. Michael's mother, Cheryl, was like, something ain't right. Something's not right. Something's not right. I don't believe it. My son didn't get eaten by alligators. Something is wrong. And at the same time, Denise, the widow, is not allowing Cheryl to see the baby. She's not allowing Cheryl to see the baby. And it seems that Denise and Brian have gone a little closer than normal. But this is the widow and this is the best friend. So, of course, they've all been friends for years. So, of course, there would be some sort of closeness and relationship with the grief. But it went a little further than that. Brian and Denise ended up being in a relationship. Plot twist. They had been in a relationship for 3 years prior to Michael being missing. And then 5 years after he disappeared, they finally got married. That's when all of this shit starts to unravel for Denise, is when she marries Brian. So he wrote up the $1.2 million policy, well, the $1 million policy, which increased. And then he killed his best friend. So he actually killed his best friend and then married his wife, whom he was having an affair with almost the entirety of Denise and Brian's marriage.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, or at least most of their daughter's life.
Well,
And
it says, I'm
did
sorry.
y'all see his testimony why he said why he started the affair?
No, what did he say?
So he started the affair because he found a letter in his wife's purse that indicated that she may be cheating. So when he found out, this is how he said it, it just crushed me inside. And I was so devastated that I decided to start talking to Denise to make myself feel better as a friend. And then we start getting a little bit more personal. But that's why, because he thought his wife cheated on him, which she got on on the stand and said that was never the truth. So he lied.
The thing that confused me, because I was like, how did Kathy, which was Brian's wife, and Denise stay friends afterward? They talk about a trip where they had went somewhere. I can't remember what city it was. And Kathy got very drunk. And when she woke up, it was very apparent that something had happened with the three of them, and there were pictures and possibly video, but definitely pictures to show what had happened between the three of them.
Mm-hmm.
So let's speculation time. Given that there was a possible threesome, do you think that that was something that they did, like if that was a regular thing? Maybe her and Denise had something.
That when listening to Denise, not Denise, to Kathy, it didn't seem like this was something happened all the time, but she did say that going out with Denise and Brian, her husband, seemed always like she was the third wheel.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd be cool with that.
I wouldn't be cool with it.
I don't think that would be cool. And then also that, considering that was that's your best friend's wife, and your best friend is missing. And then Denise rushed to have him declare dead. Now, normally, in order to be declared dead, you have to be missing for 7 years without any trace of you, like no credit card, no nothing. Like you truly seem as if you have fallen off of the face of the earth. Within 2 years, she was able to collect the money.
How was that? How was that possible? I was thinking about that too. I'm like, how did she get to do it so soon?
There was a judge that sympathized, I guess.
Basically, they was like, he got eaten by alligators. He's no longer missing. He's dead.
Yeah, and they planted there was a hat, his hunting hat that. How long after the disappearance did that hat appear? I think it was like 6 months after the disappearance of this hat.
Because they found the hat, they found the waders.
His waders.
No bites in them. They look brand new, like
there was no scarring or anything. Like you're in the Florida swamp. There are, all these little coves and growths in plant life and animal life. So if he's eaten by an alligator, why is his hat intact and clean? And also, it's basically found in the same place. Like all of the later evidence that was collected was found pretty much in the same place where he had supposedly gone missing. So why is it right here when we looked here and it went out and then came back? Like, so that was strange. So again, his mom is like, no. She appeals to the Florida Department of, what is it called? It's FDLE. Forgot. Florida Department of Law Enforcement. Yeah, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. She keeps appealing to them. And it's like, you guys need to open this. And they don't. She campaigns. They think she's nuts. She's grieving. You good? No name here? Oh, he's a heavy sleeper. So they think she's crazy. She posts signs. She writes letters. Like she's talking to anybody who will listen. The whole town is like, Cheryl, let it go. He's never coming back. She's like, I need to find my boy. I need to find my boy. Something is wrong because that heifer is also not letting me see my grandbaby, and that ain't right. So something's going on. In the meantime, Brian divorces his wife and he marries Denise. You would think that after having an affair for most of her previous marriage and the 5 years after Michael is missing, that them getting married was just kind of like an afterthought and it would be blissful. It is not. It is not. They fight.
Not at all.
They fight. Brian becomes violent. He's bitter. She's bitter. She's angry. He's angry. They're both suspicious of each other because both of them think that one of them is going to tell.
There was a also thought that they got married, so because the spouse can't testify against another spouse, so they gave that as also a reason why they might have also got married.
But does that always, if the two people are the ones committing the crime, does that apply?
I mean, if that's what they were thinking. That's the feeling that I got from watching the interrogations and all of that they were thinking about that as well.
That, since because them being as suspicious of each other as they were, in the way that it ended, they couldn't have been happy at any time after killing this man. But their marriage was really, really terrible, really acrimonious. There was abuse going on, fights and things like that. And so they split up. And when it finally crumbled, he kidnapped her. He followed her. He was stalking her. He kidnapped her in a parking lot of a drugstore.
That's intense right there.
Yeah, they fight in the car. She gets away. She calls the police. He's arrested. Then he's like, unprovoked. Okay, unprovoked. He's like, I got something to tell y'all. I killed him. I killed my friend. Took him out there to the swamp, act like we were going to go hunting, which is what we normally do. Michael had talked to his dad and said that they were going to go hunting. Set it all up.
Oh,
With the confession.
I think that he decided to tell them because they gave him a deal that anything he said about the murder, he was good so that he could fight the kidnapping charge.
Yes, he got a good deal. He got a good deal.
He got a good deal on the murder, but he still got 20 years for the kidnapping charge.
Well, he didn't get charged with the murder at all. He got just charged with kidnapping.
That's what I'm saying. He got a good deal on the murder. Well, I think when I say the reason I think it was unprovoked is because he was ready to talk. They offered him a deal, but I don't think that they even needed to offer that deal. He still would have said something.
But he probably was feeling like this Wayne sitting up here, acting like I'm up here doing all this stuff, and she's the whole mastermind of a whole murder, and she trying to sit her fry while she sit up at the house, act like she's scared.
Right. I think he was resentful. He was ready to talk. He was resentful. He's like, I killed my best friend over you,
and I can kill you.
And we'll get to the point. We're going to ask the question of whether or not she made him do it, because I think that's really relevant to what's going on in the outside world right now, is whether a woman has the power to make a man do something, to make him do something. But I know that was his thought. Like, I killed my best friend for you. And then we have the nerve not to be happy. I did all of these things for you. I gave this man a policy of $1 million. When insurance companies question
everything,
and whether or not $1 million or $2 million policy is warranted. So if you're a person that makes, and Michael didn't make this amount of money, but if you're a person that makes $30,000 a year, which is gross in this country that we are supposed to get filed out about it, but whatever. If you make $30,000 a year and your wife puts a $1.5 million policy on you, the insurance company is going to be like, ma'am, he won't even make that much money. So we can't underwrite this policy. It doesn't make sense. Brian had to go through hoops to write that policy and get it to go through.
Exactly.
I forget what show that I was watching, and their reenactment included Brian's boss questioning the policy, like, what's going on here? And it was like, we know this is my friend or whatever. He's got the baby. So, we're just going to write the policy. And again, the baby was born in 1999, and the policy was written a year within the next year. And then a couple of, and then like within the year, he was missing. So, Brian had to go through a couple hoops to get this policy, to push this through. So like he did all of this, he perjured himself. I killed my best friend. And now
I was just gonna say, even on his confession, because I watched his trial, he actually seemed hurt that he did something so stupid.
Yes, he was all crying.
He was crying. He was hurt that he did something so stupid.
Absolutely.
He was like, he was my best friend. We grew up together.
Absolutely.
And here she go.
Absolutely. And he did, and like you said, Jackie, it was eating away at him. I think from the very beginning, it was eating away at him. And I think that, of course, that is why that he and Denise weren't able to have a successful marriage. But yeah, he drove him there. They were supposed to go hunting. He shot him with a 12-gauge shotgun, like contact with the gun. Shot his best friend and threw him over. Well, no, shot him and then put him in a storage container and buried the container in the swamp. And that container was not found for 17 years. When he confessed and he was given immunity, he was able to take the law enforcement officers directly to Michael's body.
And this is the thing that killed me. Originally, they wanted him to go fishing in his waders where he would drown because of his waders. And then that will go with the story of that he, got eaten by the alligators. But the thing is, when he pushed him out, Mike had practiced getting those the waders off. So he clung to a stump, took his waders off, and was just yelling, clinging to the stump. And he did not go down and drown like they had planned. They said, and this is the sick part of it, they wouldn't feel as bad because this was a mistake. And they didn't kill him. It was a mistake to make it easier on their conscience. So because Michael didn't go under and he was clinging to the stump and he was yelling, Brian panicked, got his boat, went back around and shot him in the head, jumped out the boat so the boat can float and do whatever it does, got in his truck, just put him in the back of his truck. He goes to the area to bury him, and somebody comes by while he's waiting. So he's nervous about that. He buries the body, goes home. He was supposed to meet his father-in-law somewhere, but he couldn't get back on time. So he hurried up, got home, and because the night before he actually made sure that his wife drank a lot so she wouldn't wake up early, took his clothes off, got into bed with her, and then called his father-in-law in a sleepy voice and told them that he had overslept. Because this was supposed to be his alibi, that he was there with his wife, and that he was with his father-in-law and all of this during the time that Mike was hunting. Mind you, this was Mike's anniversary.
It was their anniversary.
Go out, but she said she did not. Denise said she did not want to go out. This is supposed to be this spark to rekindle their love. and be a family again and get their marriage on track.
That's
And
a cold bitch. Oh,
That
that's
is
a cold
cold hearted.
she
That
said,
is
we ain't
so
going on
cold
no
hearted.
trip. Well, boy, like invite him out to hunt, like, you know, what your best friend would do if you're having issues and then your wife doesn't want to go on the trip that you planned. And the whole time it was so
They're
that he,
plotting. They're plotting. And the bad part, like you were saying, that Brian driving around to shoot him, he's looking you in the face. He's begging you to help him. This is my best friend. I imagine it, and he's literally got his arms out like, help me, and
please.
He saw you pull that gun out. He saw you, and all of it. I'm quite sure every little detail of Brian and Denise talking in the corner, and Denise not being at home, Brian not being available when he said he was available, him calling the house and asking Kathy, where's Brian? And then all of this is flashing through his head like, you son of a bitch.
His last moments was heartbreak.
That's
his, not fear, but heartbreak. He was heartbroken. I'm sorry.
And at that point, I'm quite sure he's like, I'm ready to go because I can't. Like, I've been betrayed by my wife and my best friend. Like, fuck it. Like, that was his. That's harsh, what you gave him. That's what you gave him.
That's harsh.
And to know that this woman sent me out here on my anniversary to have me killed.
Did you guys see that she was interrogated by her brother-in-law?
You were telling me that. I didn't get a chance to watch the interrogation.
I didn't see it. I looked at a few of them, but I didn't see that one. I wish.
They were trying to convince her that Brian was trying to kill her, and she's like, no, he wouldn't try to kill me. You know, she's really affected by this, that Brian had come with a shovel, a gun, and a sheet, jumped out of her at the back of her, car while she was on her way somewhere. And they kept saying, he's dangerous. He's going to kill you. We think he did something to to Michael. And they were like trying to get her to, see the facts that, he's a bad guy, hoping that they can get him and interrogate them and see what happened as far as Michael's death. And so, she was trying to get a restraining order. She was really afraid about Inslee. At this time, Inslee's at a driving age. So I'm thinking probably 16, 17, 18, somewhere around that. And she will not, once they started talking to her and she started feeling more comfortable, she was like, yeah, he did these things to me. But before, she was trying to say he wouldn't hurt me, because she was thinking if he comes in here, he gonna, but
if
after
I
a while,
say that he did something to me, he's gonna open this can of worms, and
because she
over.
started to get so comfortable and think that they were on her side and all of this, and their brother-in-law, you can stay at our house with us to be safe and all this stuff. The whole time they're knowing. Then a detective comes in that has been following this case since jump, and basically he just laid it out on her, just laid it out. I know you so well. I know your whole family. I know where you live. I know this. I know that. And Brian killed Michael. No, he got eaten by alligators. He got eaten by alligators.
They did. They had the departments of, I don't know if it was Department of Forestry or whatever, come out, and once they reopened the case a couple of years before the confession, Cheryl, Michael's mom, was finally able to get someone to reopen the case and relook at it. They did like these, the charts of the time of year and all of that, and they're like, nah, alligators is too cold. The water was too cold for the gators to be out. They're not even out. They're hibernating right now.
There was a whole storm the night that he went missing, and the temperatures dropped very, very low. So when they were out searching for him, the temperatures were too low at that time for an alligator. It was a really big storm, and everybody's out. Even he's out there searching because his dad's like, he loved Michael. We got to find him. We got to find him. And his dad doesn't want to tear himself away from, looking for him. And he's all wishing his dad would stop. But his dad stayed out there way longer than everybody else. And that's how they found the boat.
Yeah, it was December.
Because his dad would not give up on looking for Michael.
Yeah. So, they were able to debunk the whole alligator theory. So that's when like the momentum started picking up on reopening the case, because they're like, no, no. And even if he had been eaten by alligators, where are the clothes? Where the, where's the remnants? Because alligators tear. So there's a possibility that there would have been something else, especially speaking about the waders. You can't have pristine waders out there. Is someone who's an experienced hunter. Why would they be brand new? Or why would they just be sitting here? Why is this hat just sitting here? Why are there no punctures on the hat? Why are the,
That's
all
the
of those
part that
things?
messed them up, is bringing out those brand new waders, the hat, and all the other stuff they tried to plant after the fact.
In the places that they had already looked. And why is it in the same body of, or pool of water, instead of floating downriver or being caught in the brambles and the bushes and all that stuff? It was just there.
Even the boat was in the wrong spot. According to how the water was flowing and the wind and the storm, the boat should have been somewhere else. So basically, the boat was fighting against the storm and the wind to end up where it was.
Right, and it wouldn't have done that. And again, it was a full tank. So if he'd fallen out and the motor was running, it would have still just run.
Right.
So and at the time, I think it just sound good to say that he fell in and the gators ate him. Yeah, have these grieving people. Again, Miss Cheryl was like, no. In the end, Brian was given total immunity for his testimony. He was convicted of the kidnapping charge. I think he got like 20 years for that. Denise was given life in prison, but later it was overturned and she received 30 years in prison.
This is where she seemed real trite to me. She has spent a little time in prison, a little bit of time. She gonna come out saying, I am, I'm better. I've been in here helping women in here, and I realized my wrongs, to try to get her sentence reduced. Like, lady, you killed a whole man and then lied and said, you orchestrated everything.
And that was the thing that her attorneys, of course, and probably her supporters were saying, is she didn't do it. She wasn't there. She had an alibi. She was not there. So this is where the question comes in. How culpable is she for the murder? Like, I know that legally, conspiracy charges, murder charges, yes. But betwixt us, how culpable,
what jacked her, where she could have been like, that wasn't me, but what jacked her was the call between her and Kathy that the police had set up, because they said that Kathy was going to be indicted, and so they had her on the phone talking to Denise about, I know what happened. If they ask me, I have to tell, I'm going to have to tell the truth. And how callous she sounded in that video. Plus the fact, she was like, I know what happened, that you guys planned it. And how she handled that phone call let them know that she was not a grieving widow. She knew what had happened. She knew the details and what was going on. And she didn't care.
Yeah.
That call did her in. Once they played that call in court.
And that's the thing. When it comes to a jury trial, things like that, because I know that they tell jurists, you have to go by what is presented in court. But I'm human. And I think that you make a determination whether that person's guilty as soon as they walk in and you hear some of the minor details of the case, like, yeah, she did it. And then hearing the phone call and the tone and all of that, you're like, oh yeah, this is a done deal. So again, she got the 30 years, but at what point is it just Now, I believe that she's very much responsible because I germinated the idea. I gave it to you. I pushed you to do it. Manipulated you to do it. But do you think that people who conspire to commit the murder should get more time than the people who actually committed the murder?
Yes, absolutely.
I
She
absolutely
she
think so.
she knew she could work Brian. She knew that. And actually, they had come up with other scenarios of him being killed, but this one felt like it wasn't really their fault. Like they didn't actually
Hmm.
kill him. He died because he drowned because his waders were too heavy. So we didn't have to kill him. He just drowned.
Right. So that's what she sold Brian on was the drowning. If he drowns, it's really, it's really not going to be on our conscience. But obviously, it didn't work
But they
out
had
like that, and
different
it was.
scenarios. They had very different scenarios of how they were going to do it. But this one just seemed to be the less, you know, it just seemed to be the better one for them too, because they're conscious, so their conscience would be able to deal with it.
And the reason I asked that question of conspirators and pushing someone towards it, there's a story. Right now, it's a made-for-TV movie starring Elle Fanning. But a couple years ago, this was involving some Midwest teenagers. There was a boy, high school student, who killed himself in a Walmart parking lot. He shot himself, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he had a
Story.
friend, a little girl that he really, really liked. And he was feeling some type of way, and he would confide in her. And he was saying that possibly he wanted to commit suicide. Now, it's not necessarily your responsibility as the another person to. It's not your legal responsibility to convince them not to kill themselves. Moral responsibility is something different. But what she did is she encouraged him to kill himself. Like, go ahead and do it today. And then at the moment, like, she kept doing this, and he's like reaching out to her. So she's convincing him, yes, you should do this, you should end it. And on the day that he did it, he called her, like, this is my person, I'm calling her. And he had decided, I can't do this, I'm not going to do this. She's like, no, you should. You
Sure
should
did.
really do this. Today's your day. Like, be brave, be courageous. Like, just go ahead and end it. And he killed himself. She kind of bragged about it. It was no big deal to her. Well, that turned around on her because she was brought up on charges. She cried, she snotted, and she cried. I was not sympathetic to her at all.
Not even a little bit. I wasn't even a
Because,
little bit.
right, because it's as and I believe in personal responsibility. I at the end of everything, I believe that every step that you've ever taken in your life has led you to the very moment that you're in. And we have to take a personal responsibility for the things that we've done and how we affect others. However, also think that we can be manipulated when, especially if we're at a weak moment. And those around us who might have more power or more sway over us because we have feelings and strong emotions towards them, they can manipulate us because they make us think that this is the right thing to do for everybody. And I think that's definitely what happened to the young man who committed suicide, and definitely what happened to Brian. Is he culpable? Absolutely. Should he have gotten immunity? Absolutely not. But they
That was
needed
the
to
only
get
way
her.
they could think that they could solve the case.
Yeah, they needed. It was the means to an end, and I understand. Um, but he was culpable because that was your best friend. But the power of the PUSSY got him. And you know what's crazy is, Brandon, you always tell me, like, when we're talking about dudes who got much to say, and then you be like, but he's not even tight. Denise, what kind of femme fatale was she?
I think Kathy looked better personally.
But it seems to be, and this doesn't happen all the time, but when you watch these shows and you hear about these stories, the other woman, the manipulator, you're like, Where they do that at? You expect this woman to be a Jezebel or a Delilah, capable of cutting Samson's hair and gouging his eyes out, but you get Emma from up the street. Like,
And you know what's even worse is that Mike went to Brian telling him he thinks that Denise is having an affair, which she
and it was
was,
him.
but he's telling Brian about he thinks he's with another man. He's
She
the
was.
other man.
He's the other man.
He's talking about how him and Denise aren't
Mhm.
having sex, all this stuff, and Brian saying how him and Kathy aren't having sex. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But he confided in him as a best friend, said, "I think that Denise is having an affair on me with another man," and he was the other man.
And like I said, for the entirety of their marriage almost. So the ink on their marriage certificate wasn't even dry before. Let me ask you, who got married first? Brian and Kathy, or Mike and Denise? Let me look.
I think they got married around the same time, but they always hung together. Always, they would go to family. I think that night they were supposed to go to a Christmas party at Kathy's parents' house. All of them.
Mm-hmm.
So they grew up together. They got married around the same time. So basically, it might have been a year's difference, maybe, in between the marriages. It didn't seem like it was a long time because they were all the same grade, went to college together, everything. So
I'm looking right now because I'm interested to know. The reason why I'm interested to know is because I wonder if she had always wanted
I don't think she always wanted Brian. I think after she had Inslee, something changed, and then that's when they started having the affair. I don't think it was from jump. No.
She had
but you
had
could have had
Inslee in
some kind of
1999.
attraction. You could have had some kind of attraction to him, thinking he was an attractive man.
Yeah. So they were having an affair 3 years prior to Michael's death. She didn't have that baby until a couple of months before he died. They were having that
it was some kind of attraction
almost from the beginning of their marriage, almost, because
I don't think it was the beginning of their marriage.
They were only married for 5 years, and it says that they were in an affair for at least 3 years prior to Michael's death. So that's all. That's almost the entire
2 years after they got married, I guess.
Right. Yeah. I'm not saying that it was an affair going on, but there obviously had to be some kind of physical attraction, a flirt, or some kind of flirting that seemed harmless in the beginning, which even had to lead to him being comfortable enough to persuade her in a whole different manner. It had to be some kind of something happening.
We're always together, these two couples.
But yeah, and I get, proximity, and just because you find someone attractive doesn't mean that you're automatically gonna go for them. But there was a seed somewhere at some time. That's why I was interested to see who got married first. Was Jerry kind of the consolation prize because she couldn't have Brian, or how did that work?
I don't think that was it. I think she wanted to marry Michael. It might not have been what she thought it was going to be, but I think she wanted to marry Michael, and then somehow, because Kathy and Michael have way more kids. They had a couple kids to where Michael and Denise only had one child, but Kathy and
Brian had more kids.
Yes.
Did she ever say why she had the affair or why she wanted him dead?
Nope.
Was it just about money? So she's never come out and said, I got tired of him. He was getting on my nerves.
Nope.
I think it had to be about money.
Well, they were at a rocky part in their marriage and about to break up anyway, before they decided to do this plan. Because remember, that was their anniversary trip where they were going to try to rekindle. And
I mean, if you get a brand new inflated insurance policy, if your marriage is rocky and you're going to break up, and then you get the insurance policy and you're like, we're going to stay together.
Well, they got the insurance policy increased because of Inslee. because he needed to add Inslee on there. And now since he had a family, he needed the larger policy.
I think it was well constructed. They needed a way to get rid of Brian. To kind of, and this is the way my mind works. I think that they needed a way to get rid of Brian, because them breaking up, because they were all friends, them breaking up, it's kind of like when couples break up and it's like, who gets the dog? Who gets the friends? Because couples really divide friends. And I think people do stupid shit for stupid reasons. And I think that, and this is speculation time on my part, don't come for me. I think that they didn't want to break up the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't want to break up the friendship because who gets Brian? Who gets Kathy? Who gets the rest of the gang? But if Michael is dead, we don't have to divide anything. Well, actually, the friend group actually draws closer through grief. And then our connection, makes sense. We can explain it because we're all grieving. He's dead. This is how we all got together. This is why if Kathy and Denise have a moment of intimacy, this is why. If Brian and Denise have a moment or continue their moments of intimacy, this is why we're bonded through grief, and we don't have to split the group. And then on top of that, Brian is an insurance salesman. Why not get a little bit to go? Why not benefit from this? You're on mute. Fran. You're gonna have to repeat that whole thing.
I think it had nothing to do with the friends group. It had to do with Brian and Denise wanting to be together, and they needed to get him out the way so that they can be together because they wanted to be with each other at all times. It had nothing to do with a friend group. It had to do with their selfishness of wanting to be together.
But what you just said is the friend group, because if we just divorce and then the reason why that Michael and Denise get a divorce is because we're having an affair. We're bringing the ridicule of all of our friends and family who are all connected. The friends and family are all connected and have been for years. Do you know what kind of rift that's going to bring? Because now my parents are going to be not going to be talking to your parents.
If they had got a divorce, Denise and Brian would have got together and done whatever I don't think they even cared what anybody else had to say. I don't think and plus Michael was leaving all kind of, not Michael, Brian was leaving all kind of stuff in the house and with receipts with Meridian on it, which was her nickname that she developed on some trip or whatever. And like, he was not trying to hide that he was with her at all.
I think Kathy probably knew.
Yeah, Kathy knew. Kathy knew. She said when she was with
Michael didn't know.
Michael did not know. He knew something was going on. But
that's why I go with my theory of he has to go. He has to go. And the best way for him to go so that we can be together easier is for him to die, because none of this has to change. Like our lifestyle doesn't have to change. Our friends don't have to change. The way we celebrate, the way we get together doesn't have to change. But yeah, I do believe that they're selfish, and I don't think that they cared like 100% about the family, but in the plot, it makes sense that if he dies, we can all still be together. But if we get a divorce, and not just getting a divorce, but a divorce because you and I, his best friend, are having an affair and have been having an affair for so long, that's gonna be disruptive. And above all, you mentioned selfishness. I think Denise was so selfish that she didn't want to give up anything. She didn't want to give up anything.
It all. Yeah.
She wanted Brian, she wanted the money, and she wanted everything that she had before, but she wanted Michael gone. And if you just get a divorce, he's not going to go anywhere because we still got this kid. That's why she didn't let Cheryl see the baby. So,
Well, she told Cheryl, you can, if you don't stop this madness, then you won't see Inslee.
that should have
Because
been the
Cheryl,
clue. That was the clue right there. Like, why do you want me to stop trying to find your husband?
she said, if you're gonna keep doing this, then you can't see Inslee. And she kept doing it.
Mm.
Me and Jackie said at the same time. That to me, that's suspicious right there. Like, why wouldn't you want me to continue to find
Definitely
your
red
husband
flag.
and the father of your child? If he's been eaten by gators, don't we need to find something? Don't you need closure?
Thank you. I was just gonna say, wouldn't you want? I'd be like, don't you want the closure?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to move forward with my life if I just think you're out there somewhere. Like, I don't have tangible proof that you are no longer of this world. You're just out
Well,
there.
she knew. She knew what happened to him. So
She knew. Yeah, but I'm on the other side of it. It looks very suspicious that you are just kind of like, well, he got eaten by gators. That's enough. I don't know, but Denise is a cold bitch. That's what she is.
definitely
Denise
cold.
is a cold bitch. You're openly like carrying on an affair with your husband's best friend, and you kill him in front, and then his wife knows that y'all still friends and kikiing and everything, going out on weekends and shit, having drinks. Bitch. As Kathy, my ass would be in prison too, because I'd have waited 7 years to kill that bitch. I'd have been like, yeah, we cool. We cool.
Well, Brian thought Kathy was cheating too. So, but Kathy wasn't cheating.
I think that was a fucking cop out because he had been cheating. Cheaters always think the other person's cheating. Cheaters, listen, this is a theory. And just think about this. When somebody cheats and you catch them, they're never going to trust you again for catching them cheating. They're never going to trust you after that because they are always going to think that you're going to have some get back for them. They will never trust you again.
They ain't gonna trust you because they got caught cheating.
Because they got caught cheating. Yep. Or they either got caught or they know that they're cheating, so they're never going to trust you. Everything that you do at that point is suspicious because they're like, if I'm doing it, they could be doing it. Oh, well, she didn't come home. She said she was taking a long run. It took her 45 minutes extra to get home today. Well, when I take extra 45 minutes, I'm over there with Denise. Who's she with? Nobody. She went to the CVS. But you so guilty and suspicious, you think she's doing it. And every little thing that if she wrote down something, meeting with Ted at 5, or who's Ted? That must be, her side dude. No, that's my supervisor. What are you talking about? I have a meeting to discuss my career. But you can't explain that to a cheater because they're always going to be suspicious. They will never trust you again. And that's what happened. He had been cheating that whole time with his best friend's wife. And a way to justify me cheating is I'm going to say she's cheating, but I'm also suspicious of her because I don't trust her because she can't trust me. So it's a very vicious cycle. It's stupid as hell, but I swear that's what goes on. Once you get caught cheating. Any new stories on ideas for next week?
Not yet.
Oh, Jackie, that serial killer guy,
yeah.
whatever his name was. Do that. There's that. I think I sent something today to you in the group chat. So we'll think of something. We have a few stories in mind, but I like the stories where we get to ask the questions about whether something is, like just being able just to ask questions about whether or not we think that this was right, or ask. Speaking of questions, Rosemary West, let's go back 2 episodes. One of the questions I asked Brandy was when Rosemary was continuing to have sex with her father after she was married, whether or not that was something that she wanted to do, or was she still being a victim? Was it a position of power, or was she a victim? I watched again, oh my God, what is it called? Is it Pure Evil or
Evil
something?
Genius.
No, Evil Genius was about
Not-
the Pennsylvania
oh.
murder. I think it's Pure Evil or Born to Kill or something, Born Evil, something like that. It's on Sundance, and it's specifically about Rosemary West. And one of the psychiatrists on the show talked about that specifically, about her and her father. And what he said aligned with what I thought, was that by that time, she was no longer a victim. Like, what we'll see it as her being a victim because of the way that she was raised and that she's groomed. But by that time in her head, she was no longer the victim, and she was the manipulator of the relationship. She was the one, and especially with her relationship with Fred. So they agree with you, Randy, that she was the power in that relationship. And also that she, almost from birth, she was destined to be evil. Not that she had to be, but all the things were in place for her to be who she ended up being. But yeah, I rewatched it the other day, and I was like, and it was almost at the end of the documentary that the psychiatrist said that about her continuing her sexual relationship with her father. By that time, she enjoyed it. He was just another guy to have sex with. And also that her father and Fred were pretty much the same person. They were exactly the same person. I'll have to send it to you, but it's on Sundance. If you don't have my logins, I will share them with you so that you can use them or watch the documentary, because we don't share logins around here. That is not something that we do. Nobody
definitely
does
try to
that.
watch it. Just send me the name of it. I'm sure I have Sundance somewhere.
Yes, I'll send it on Sundance and tell you how I watched it. So all right, you guys, we're going in the show. You have any suggestions for shows, let us know on Facebook or Instagram at Black Coffee and Crime, or info@blackcoffeeandcrime.com. You can always email us. Make sure to like and subscribe to us on YouTube, and leave comments if you like what we have to say. If you don't like what we have to say, that's fine. Either way, just be respectful. And that's how we got. So we will see you guys next week for episode 79 of whatever mystery we come up with from there. Good night, guys.
Bye.